When love becomes a battle. The city of Seoul had never been this divided over a love story. Everywhere you looked, there were opinions. On giant digital billboards, financial news updates scrolled endlessly beneath the name Kang Min-jae. On social media, hashtags trended for days, some praising him, others tearing him apart. But behind all the noise, there was silence. The kind of silence that sat heavily in the chest. Inside the towering headquarters of KJ Global Technologies, the atmosphere had changed. Executives who once admired Min-jae now watched him carefully. Some with concern, others with quiet judgment. "You're risking everything," one board member said during a closed meeting. Min-jae stood at the head of the table, his expression unreadable. "I built this company from nothing," he replied calmly. "I'm not afraid of losing it. But this isn't about fear," another executive added. "It's about perception. Investors don't like uncertainty." Min-jae's gaze hardened slightly. "And love is now considered uncertainty?" No one answered. Because in that room, everyone knew the truth. This wasn't about business anymore. It was about the idea that someone like Amara Okoye didn't belong in his world. Across the city, Amara's life had become something she barely recognized. Simple things, walking down the street, going to work, had changed. People stared. Some whispered. Others openly judged. At the hospital, the atmosphere was even worse. A group of nurses stood near the break room, their voices low but sharp. "I heard she's moving into his penthouse soon." "Of course she is. That was probably the plan all along." Amara paused just outside the door, their words cutting deeper than they realized. She had spent years building her reputation. Years proving she was more than just a foreigner trying to survive in a new country. And now, all of that had been reduced to a single assumption. That she was chasing wealth. That her love wasn't real. She quietly turned away, choosing not to confront them. But the pain stayed with her. Crescent moon, the distance grows. That night, Min-jae stood by the large glass windows of his penthouse, the city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. Amara sat on the couch behind him, unusually quiet. "You didn't say much today," he said without turning. She hesitated. "I'm just tired." He turned then, studying her carefully. "You're not just tired." She forced a small smile. "It's nothing." But Min-jae wasn't convinced. He walked closer. "Amara, I need you to be honest with me." Her smile faded. "It's just, everything feels heavy." He understood immediately. "The media?" "The people," she corrected softly. "The way they look at me, like I don't belong." Min-jae's jaw tightened. "You belong wherever you choose to be." She looked at him, her eyes searching his. "But does your world believe that?" The question lingered between them, unanswered. The real storm came days later. Min-jae received a message from his mother. A formal invitation. Dinner. He knew what it meant. When he arrived at the family estate, the atmosphere was cold. His mother sat at the head of the table, elegant and composed. "You've embarrassed this family," she said without hesitation. Min-jae remained calm. "I've done nothing wrong." "You've made a spectacle of your private life," she continued. "And for what?" "A nurse." The word wasn't said with respect. Min-jae's eyes darkened. "She has a name." "And what does she have to offer you?" his mother pressed. "Status? Influence? Connections?" Min-jae leaned forward slightly. "Something none of those things can give me." His mother's expression hardened. "This relationship ends now." Silence filled the room. Min-jae stood slowly. "No." It was a simple word. But it carried weight. "I won't choose power over happiness," he added. For the first time, his mother looked at him not as a son, but as someone she might lose control over. Broken heart, the breaking heart. That night, Amara sat alone in her apartment. The lights were off. Her phone screen glowed in the darkness. Message after message scrolled endlessly. Some were supportive, but others cruel, brutal, relentless. "You don't belong. Go back to where you came from. He'll leave you soon." Her hands trembled slightly. She had faced hardship before. But this was different. This wasn't just struggle. This was rejection on a scale she had never imagined. And slowly, it began to wear her down. The question that changed everything. When Min-jae arrived later that night, he immediately felt the shift. Amara wasn't the same. She looked at him like someone holding onto something fragile. Min-jae, she said softly. He stepped closer. What's wrong? She took a deep breath. If things get worse, what will you choose? He frowned slightly. What do you mean? Your company, your family, your reputation. She paused. Or me? The question hit harder than anything he had faced in business. Because this time, there was no strategy. No calculation. Just truth. He didn't answer immediately. And that hesitation was all Amara needed to see. Her heart broke quietly in that moment. Cloud with rain the goodbye. The next morning, the apartment was silent. Min-jae woke to an empty space beside him. A single note lay on the table. His hands tightened as he read it. I love you, but I won't be the reason your world falls apart. For the first time in years, Kang Min-jae felt powerless. The world he chose to leave behind. The silence that followed her departure was unbearable. Not the kind of silence that brings peace, but the kind that echoes. Every room in the penthouse felt colder. Every moment stretched longer. For a man who had everything, Min-jae had never felt so empty. Days turned into weeks. Min-jae searched everywhere. Hospitals, clinics, even the smallest community centers. But Amara was gone. No trace. No contact. It was as if she had disappeared completely. His assistant approached him carefully one morning. Sir, we found something. Min-jae looked up instantly. A travel record. His heart pounded. Where? Nigeria. Airplane the journey. For the first time in his life, Min-jae canceled everything. Meetings. Deals. Contracts worth millions. None of it mattered anymore. As the plane took off, he stared out the window. Not as a billionaire. Not as a CEO. But as a man chasing the one person he couldn't replace. Globe showing Europe, Africa a different world. Nigeria was nothing like Seoul. The air felt warmer. The pace, slower. Life moved differently here. And somehow, it felt real. When Min-jae finally found the clinic where Amara worked, he stopped for a moment. Through the window, he saw her. Smiling. Helping patients. Laughing softly. She looked free. Something in his chest tightened. Red Heart the reunion. When Amara turned and saw him, time seemed to stop. Her eyes widened. Min-jae. He walked toward her slowly. Every step filled with emotion. I told you, he said softly. My world is empty without you. Her heart raced. You shouldn't have come. I had to. You don't understand, she said, her voice trembling. Your life, your world. He shook his head. I understand more now than I ever did. He stepped closer. I don't want that world if it means losing you. Tears filled her eyes. Then what do you want? He took her hands gently. You. Sunrise, a new beginning. Months later, the world was shocked once again. But this time, it wasn't scandal. It was transformation. Kang Min-jae stepped down as CEO. He walked away from power. From expectations. From everything that once defined him. And together, he and Amara built something new. Hospitals. Clinics. Hope. In the end, the world didn't change them. They changed the world. Because sometimes, the greatest love stories aren't about what you gain, but what you're willing to leave behind.